Over the years, it's clear that high school has changed drastically. There's been various trends that have evolved over time and activities that have changed in popularity. These trends include clothing styles, hairstyles, after and in school activities, and school dance traditions. Around the school, teachers and students shared their high school experiences to help get the inside scoop of the evolution of trends. To start off, teachers share what they did in their free time.
Well, I was also a cheerleader in high school, so we obviously had practice a lot. But I do remember that after Friday night football games, we would go to Max and Irma's with pretty much the entire football team, and we would get food and stay there until close.
Um, we played sports, we worked. Um, Once in a while we just hung out, but when we hung out, it'd usually be doing something.
But I know this may come as a shock to some of you, but I was not like a big party person in high school. So we would just hang out. The one thing that we did most often was we'd go to Baker Square. That was like the place to hang out in high school. And we would all get, either a slice of pie or a half slice of pie and water, and then sit there for, multiple hours.
A lot of times we would just hang out. We would spend a lot of time at McCollum playing basketball, and then we did a lot of, we would silly string a lot of people standing in line for movies, because my best friend had a convertible.
One of the things we did do when we hung out is we watched MTV. MTV was brand new then, and it was still music videos. It didn't have TV shows on it. It was nothing but music videos 24/7.
Activities like these seem to be pretty similar to what the average high school student today would enjoy doing on the weekends.
At our school, students on the weekends usually they just hang out with friends. They do stuff like they'll go to the movies, or they'll have parties with their friends and just kind of spend time together.
I would say that they just go to parties and hang out with their friends.
Or play video games with their friends also, kind of just hanging out with people.
We play Fortnite.
True.
The cool thing to do in school was to be involved. The most popular activity to be part of back in the day was athletics.
Sports were really big, and the camaraderie between the sports teams were huge. We had a lot of school spirit when I went to DGS, not that long ago, but the student body was very supportive.
Sports were very popular, involvement in sports. We also had intramural sports if you weren't on a team. So anyone that wasn't on a team was in a league, and then at night from 7 to 10 we had different intramural leagues.
We also had a really big choir program at my high school, so it was really competitive and it was really a big deal.
Well, I went to Bolingbrook High School, so it was just all about sports. Everybody played sports. Back then, similar to down or south, but most everybody, if you weren't competing in your game, then you were working. It was a little bit more of a blue-collar atmosphere, so a lot of people were balancing sports and work for the most part.
It was actually, it was really cool to be involved. I would say most of the, popular kids were involved in clubs and extracurricular activities. So there wasn't a lot of people that just didn't do much.
It is clear that sports were hugely important to older generations. Present-day DGS sports teams seem to have split paths from being so tight-knit and supportive of each other. However, high school students still enjoy competing and being a part of a team. Other than athletics, students spent their time working.
I actually started delivering newspapers when I was 10 years old. It was because I had 7 older brothers who were newspaper carriers. They allowed me to do it earlier than what was allowed back then. And then when I turned 16, I worked at a gas station. That's back when you had attendants there was full service pumps where we pumped the gas for you, or self-service pumps. And then my senior year in high school, I worked at a bakery, and I drove a route truck, those big box trucks you see, delivering things.
And I babysat a lot. That was my big job. I had a temporary gig at the local library.
Jamison's Char House used to be Bennigan's, and I worked at Bennigan's I really started when I was 15 to almost 20, and I was a host, a dishwasher, and then I ended up being the main cook at the end by the time I was done.
A DGS tradition that all seniors love is awarding them with senior superlatives that reflect their character throughout high school. Teachers share which title would be presented to them.
Oh, I got one. Most school spirited.
I think I had most school spirit.
I'd probably get the, what was her name again, award. I knew a lot of people, I had a lot of friends, but I wasn't like, I don't know, like noteworthy. So I think I would just get the like, what, like, I don't know, the like, oh, or the, oh, she was cool.
Probably one of the most sarcastic teachers, and that's it, probably Mr. Sarcastic.
One of the biggest changes in trends is in regards to the ever-changing fashion styles throughout the years.
Well, the fashion I don't think is much different. We definitely, though, did not wear leggings as pants back when I was in high school, so that's something different. And I remember when I was in high school that the first kind of new trend was the whole like Ugg boot craze and tucking your jeans into your boots.
Well, I was never into the fashion trends because I couldn't afford anything that cost any money. But as much as fashion was hairdos, everybody had big hair then. Even the guys would do perms. Mullets were popular then. Girls, big early 80s Farrah Fawcett, boofy, wavy, curly hair.
So, you know, we kind of started, like me and my high school colleagues, like, you know, when we started high school, the higher the hair, the better. The more hairspray, the better. Big bangs, like bangs, sometimes they'd be cascading bangs. Sometimes they would be some bangs down, some bangs up. Look it up, it's interesting.
So unfashion worthy, so I think I wore a t-shirt every single day of high school. I don't know that I did have a friend though that silk shirts used to be, patterned silk shirts were the thing, and one of my friends always thought he was on the cutting edge, and he was in the popular group, and he wore 2 patterned silk shirts, one on top of the other.
To compare, DGS students talk about the current trendy clothing items.
A lot of girls wear like jean jackets or like the jean skirts, and they wear leggings a lot, way more than like jeans.
For guys, that'd be like khaki joggers in general.
Some super trendy things I think nowadays is like athletic wear, like athleisure is super popular, like people wearing like leggings and sweatshirts and stuff, but like making it look cute.
Now for the not-so-trendy clothing items.
Oh, a cringy fashion trend that I hate is grout fits. I don't know why those all of a sudden became popular, but grout fits are awful. Really like extremely baggy clothes, like looking like you're like a homeless person. That's one that's kind of getting popular that I don't really understand as well. And another trend that's super cringy is how a lot of people, they just buy the same exact clothes as one another, and so everybody's wearing like the same clothes, like Adidas Superstars or like Converse or, you know, like other shoes like that, or like certain brands, and it just kind of gets old, like seeing the same thing all the time.
They wear those like Doc Marten things, and then Birkenstocks with like socks up to here, and
Talk about the Crocs.
Crocs.
The Crocs.
Crocs.
People wearing Crocs.
Now for prom. The present-day prom looks consists of tight mermaid-style dresses that often will be 2 pieces. To compare, former generations had styles quite different from the present day. Not only were the styles different, but also the activities involved with pre-prom and post-prom were contrasting as well.
Prom was at the Abington, I believe, or Ashton Place, I can't remember. But again, we went with a big group of friends, and it was really special, and it was a lot of fun. I don't think it had as much like hype as it does today.
Our prom, we did not have dinner at the dance. It was dance, and the dance was held at the school. It was nicer than you think, though. So we went out to dinner before the dance. And we had one of our favorite math teachers used to always joke and tell people, hey, make good decisions, don't be going out drinking. If you think you're going to do that, just come to my house. So he always would say this for years. So on the way in, he lived like a block from the high school. So on our way to the dance after dinner, we went to his house.
It was a very interesting night. It was actually in the Hilton in Lisle, and my date that I asked, I had been eyeing up for a long, long time. She was actually in college, and she was a waitress at a restaurant, and I had been like laying the groundwork for that big question for probably about 6 months before that.
One of our friends had it after prom, and we spent the night at his house, and then we spent the whole next day playing volleyball in his backyard. There was probably 20, 30 people. I think I went home from prom at about 7 o'clock Sunday night because we all were playing volleyball all day Sunday.
We went to Wisconsin Dells, but my mom went. So she didn't stay with us. She stayed a little over, but our parents, went with us. So there was definitely not how you went to like one of those big prom houses now. You would go, most of the people went to, like I said, like hotels or something, but a lot of the groups had parent chaperones that went with them.
After prom, we went to the city, and then we went on a boat, which I think they still have that boat, the Odyssey, and we went like on a little tour, and then we went around the city of Chicago for a little while, and then the next day we went up to a friend's lake house and to Six Flags and just did some different things.
So my date actually asked me with a really cute cake that he set on my doorstep. Unfortunately, though, my dad did call the cops on my date because it was way late when he did it, and our dog was going crazy, and my dad looked down and it was pitch black, and all he saw was some guy in the bushes of our house. He had no clue that I was getting asked to prom, no clue who it was. So that was really funny when the police officers showed up, and the kids literally, he had a cake in his hands and he's like, I was just trying to ask Shannon to go to prom.
When I was in high school, it wasn't a big deal. You didn't have to do anything like the things that they do today. So basically I asked her one night, like I finally got the courage up after like the third time of about to ask. I got the courage to ask her. I gave her a free dessert, actually probably stole the dessert and gave her the dessert because I was a cook, and then asked her after work one night.
So the dress trends for prom definitely have changed. It was in to get the biggest, the poofiest dress that you could find. So my dress was like a peach color, and it had a cute cream bow at the top. It was strapless, and it was, a little form-fitting, but then right at the waist, it had this huge, massive tulle skirt.
I'll be honest with you, I remember her dress being a white dress. It wasn't very poofy. It was kind of a little bit more tighter fit. And I have no idea, as you can tell by the way I dress daily, on what I really wore and how I matched it.
Was there any major drama in your high school that you were involved with?
We had a group of girlfriends that we called the Wham Posse, and they were women against men. They were our girlfriends, but it felt like they were always against us for some reason all the time, and it's probably because of the fact that we were always trying to do stuff as our friends and not with our girlfriends, and then they were just angry most of the time.
We had this is not a prom story, but in high school we had a dance where the girls asked the guys. It was called Sadie Hawkins. I'm sure you've heard of it, maybe. And one of my friends, she and I were walking down the hall, and she asked, are you going to the dance? And I'm like, no. She goes, well, did you want to go? And I'm like, yeah, it doesn't matter to me. I thought we were just having a conversation. Later in the day, my friends yelled at me. They said, why'd you tell Lisa you wouldn't go to the dance with her? Like, when did she ask me? Because I thought we were just having a conversation at all. And so, but.
What did the popular people look like / do?
What did the popular people look like? Well, they weren't bald, like me.
Major events going on when you were in high school?
Yeah, I'm trying to, high school was Persian Gulf War, which students really don't know much about because we don't really spend that much time talking about it. But Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait, and so we went to war against them, against Iraq. So that was going on when I was in high school. And then high school, early college was the OJ case, and I still remember watching on the news his white Bronco driving on the slow chase through LA, and I remember that very well. And then Princess Diana died, I remember that as well, and that was lots, like hours and hours of, my friend Jessica and I would talk about both the OJ case and the Princess Diana. We'd be like on the phone with each other watching the coverage, and she ultimately passed away, but we didn't know that for a long time, so I remember watching that footage.
And also, did you have a job in high school?